But so the other thing I was thinking when you were talking is that I have had by now innumerable single thought manifestations related to specific people where, and I
Mm-hmm.
had the most recent one 2 days ago where I literally just said I want this person to contact me to play video games tonight, and he did, and we did. And actually what was interesting about it is when I thought that thought, and it was just a singular thought, there was no visualization. However, there is an assumption that this would be, of course, something that we could do because we've done it a couple times now. But what I didn't know is when I had that thought, it had actually already happened. He had actually already sent me a message 20 minutes prior to that, but I hadn't seen that message. Now, of course, this brings up something really interesting, which is had he sent that message actually before, or did, you know what I'm saying? Like, okay, so that message, as far as I know, was not sent until I had that thought. And that's how manifesting and being a conscious creator, that's how it's a different mindset because in the old mindset, you would say, oh, well, it's a coincidence. Or
Mm-hmm.
even if you want to be really, if you do want to have a little bit of a reach there, you'd say, well, oh, well, you thought of him because he already sent you the message, or maybe you're a little bit psychic. But now we know, because we know creation's already finished, that when we encounter a manifestation that's quote unquote already done, like it was something that happened months ago, it didn't happen months ago. It's just that your mind moved there, so you instantly switched realities to one where it was indeed already done. And this is provoking an interesting question to me. And it's okay if you don't have the answer right away, but do you remember any of your manifestations where it was clear from the manifestation that the thing was already done? Like a movie that had already come out, a festival that had already been planned, but you didn't know about it until you moved in imagination and then someone told you about it or you encountered it. I mean, in the examples you just shared, your friends were already there, so you had to encounter that. But can you think of other ones where it was included as part of the manifestation that, yeah, this was already in motion, this was already done? So to an
Right.
unconscious person, it would seem like a coincidence.
Countless times. I mean, I think, before you really truly understand what creation is, how everything has already been set in place, how your desires, your deepest desires is what is heard and then manifested into reality. It's hard to really understand that everything is centered around you and your desires because it feels so impossible sometimes that you could be so beloved, so you know, adored um, by God as God. It's overwhelming the love, the creation, the detail in every leaf, in the weather, in everything that comes. But when you're older, like I am, and you're able to look back at your life, there were so many times that I look back and I think, my gosh, that orchestrated perfectly because this absolute calamity is what came together to perfectly orchestrate not only the most beautiful unfolding of something that I could have never imagined, um, but also, something that really just completely changes the narrative of your life, the perspective that you have, and something that, particularly coming out of such a painful event or moment, such as the death of a loved one, someone in your family, or a divorce. In my particular case, definitely a divorce many, many years ago. Divorced well over 10 years now, but that time in my life, everything felt like it was falling apart. Um, but somehow, when I look back, everything just came together so perfectly to get me to where I needed to go and in the direction that I needed to be to really understand and be at the right place at the right time to really pay attention to Neville's teachings, to Ike Legacy, to all of these things that dramatically changed that feeling of powerlessness that I had for so long. And so when you look back, not only in those big, catastrophic events in your life, you're also able to see really specific details. Years ago, I remember I had put out an ad for someone to hire. And before I knew about manifestation, I wrote down a list on everything that I really wanted in a candidate. And I thought to myself, I want this, I want this, I want this. And this was not in the ad that we placed for that job posting. And we got that exact candidate with those exact skills and that exact degree. And I remember looking back and I thought, wait a minute, I manifested that. I manifested this candidate showing up for this position that we ultimately hired. So in that particular aspect, absolutely many times. And I think it takes both time and perspective to be able to look back at your life and see how all those things came together, from the bigger life events to the smaller life events, to even the happy ones, and how everything, although it feels sometimes like it's falling apart, everything is exactly where it should be, because that's where you put it.
You know what is so wild is when you told that experience just now of having that list. My mind was just like, oh yeah, you could do that. Like I was so nonplussed by what you said, and yet I can remember, not long ago, about 2 years ago now, being in the state that so many people are in when they're first learning about manifesting and being like, can you do that? And it's like now I'm just like, yeah, you can do that. You can just make a list of the things you want, and then it shows up. And I have since consciously done it for many things, and it's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Just having that certainty, having that certain mind of like, oh yeah, you can do that.
Yes, absolutely, you can. And you can do that for anything and everything, from planning your perfect vacation and manifesting perfect weather on that perfect vacation to everything you want in that dream car that you're planning on purchasing, or your dream partner. So you can do that for anything and everything.
Yeah, and that feeling of confidence in that is in and of itself so invaluable. Like it's really better and bigger than the vast majority of big manifestations you're ever going to encounter. And I mean, it should be, because it's the assurance that you can do this anytime with anything, and on the bigger level, it's the reminder of who you really are and what you came here to actually do.
And if you don't get it on the first try, just keep on persisting.
Oh yeah,